Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Pṛthu Mahāraja's meeting with 4 Kumaras. Text 47, is that right? Yes. Karbhajana Prabhu, can you please read the Sanskrit?
Yaire drishi bhagavato gatiratmavada ekantato nigamibhi pratipaditana tushyanta dabra karunah svakritena nityam konama tat pratikaroti vinoda patram yaih temi
Yaih, by those, Idrishi, such kind of Bhagavatam, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Gatihi, progress, Atmavade, spiritual consideration, Ekantata, incomplete understanding, Nigambhi, by Vedic evidences, Pratipadita, conclusively established, Na, unto us, Tushyantu, be satisfied, Adabra, unlimited, Karunaha, mercy, Svakritena, by your own activity, Nityam, eternal, Kaha, who, Nama, no one, Tat, that, Pratikaroti, counteracts, Vina, without, Udapatram, offering of water in cupped hands. So now the translation of this verse. Pṛthu Mahārāja continued. How can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. Well, that's an amazing verse, as always, in Bhagavatam. It's very deep, voluminous, because it encompasses the truth. You see, the truth can be explained by the thousands of millions of ways, the same truth. And here we also have this, we see this view from different points of views. If we're talking about some relationships, so you can actually describe the truth from so many aspects, right? From the aspect of the seniors, from the aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from the worshippers, from the neutral, the people who take it neutrally, from juniors and seniors. They might have so many different points of views on the same truth. Now Pṛthu Mahārāja, he's acting as a disciple, but he is Shakti Avatar. Actually, the Shakti is actually included in this king, but he takes the position of a disciple, because he says how much it is valuable to be respectful and grateful and be in debt that you cannot repay As you know, some disciples, when they get initiated, they say, Maharaj, thank you so much for this initiation. This is not quite right, because you cannot just say thank you. This is the debt that you cannot pay back. It's an eternal service that we have to render. I will always be in debt before my spiritual master, because he will be always taking care of he will be taking care of me. See, there are so many preachers preaching all around the world, and they understand how much it is precious. These people sometimes may not even understand what's happening. Sometimes they can spit into the faces of devotees in the streets. They don't understand what they do. But some people, they do understand that it will bring some benediction. Even if the person said no today, even if he says you're ruining our society, you're ruining our traditions, religious or national, they can say that you are lazy, you don't do anything. But still some can understand that he has faced a real devotee. If you rebuke a person in his activity, he will probably get shy. If he is said in the streets, why are you doing that? If he is criticized, he will probably lose this confidence. But a devotee, no, he doesn't act like that. He does understand that it will bring benediction, all this preaching activity. If this person just sees a book or some kirtana process, we have lots of examples like this. People, you see, it takes a long time in our human dimension so that people take to some interest. And in addition, we need to act. Sometimes it works just like Agyata Sukriti. Sometimes people, they become devotees right in the streets. Eventually they start getting interested in, like, what are those books? What is that? What is this? They start asking. When we spread our books, yeah, there's an example, one devotee, Mataji, she would practice yoga when she was devotee. She was standing on her head, and when you do this asana, you have to put something underneath your head. So she would put a book under her head. So she had been doing it for the whole year. This was Bhagavad Gita. And then, you see, this was actually happening even before she was a devotee. She was practicing yoga, but then she got interested in what kind of book that was that she was standing on with her head. And that's how she has become a devotee. So it took her a year to be standing on Bhagavad Gita with her head, and then to just open it up and start reading it. A year, according to the time of demigods, it's nothing. You know, sometimes you can become a devotee in just 1 second. This is called the mercy, a grace. Sometimes you can become a devotee in just 1 second, even without having these true qualities, internal qualities. Just by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you already can become a devotee. Talk about books of Srila Prabhupada, talk about Krishna. Now we can do something that we weren't allowed to do in the past. So people like we wouldn't even get initiated back in the time. But Bhakti has this really potent nature. It can take up a person wholly with the devotional service, and the person may not even understand how it's happening. So now I will refer to the purport. Great personalities of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society. But actually no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of spiritual realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if a person does not get knowledge, he's got no chance, no development, no personal or social. Knowledge is power. The power is in knowledge. A person must know the truth. Who will bring it? The one who will bring it, he should be considered the most important person in our life. Varna Pradakshika Guru? I think we all have had this person, the one that has shown us this direction, or has given us a book. All these devotees going out in the streets spreading books, and the people getting these books, they will probably remember these people forever. Now we do not know what's ahead of us. We don't know our fate. We don't know what troubles we will face. But if some of these people become devotees, he will bring us back to God. So he will say that I cannot even repay this debt to the person that had given me this book. And this memory will be appreciated by Krishna. So there's a book, it's called, I don't exactly remember the title. So Krishna Karnamrita. In the very beginning of this work, so he's paying all these benedictions and debt to all his gurus in plural, and the first one that he is being grateful to is actually to the prostitute of Chaitanya that has shown him the direction. So this is Varna Pradakshika Guru. Just imagine that, even though she wasn't probably practicing devotional service after that, but either she wanted or not, she has actually saved this person. So we can also give some book to some person without even understanding or knowing what's going to happen to him. But by the mercy of this person that might become a great devotee, we will also benefit. If we connect someone to Krishna, we get an unmeasurable bliss. This is also the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Krishna. This is very powerful. All living entities are within the clutches of the illusory energy. Forgetting their real identity, they hover in material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. They just hope that probably in one body they will get lucky at last. But since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they're not getting any relief, although they're very anxious to attain peace of mind and some substantial happiness. So wherever a person goes, he's always looking for happiness, either in prospering countries or underdeveloped countries, all the same. People keep looking for the real happiness. It means that there's no happiness in this material life. Doesn't matter where you live. So they're looking for the peace of mind and substantial happiness. It's impossible to get so peaceful and balanced here in this material plane. All the rest is possible on different planets, with different conditions, different bodies. There are some bodies that are very developed. You may be born and already get some siddhas, like on Siddha Loka. They already have these mystic siddhas. Gandharvas, they also have some siddhas. They have really amazing skills. They can dance and sing. They enjoy their bodies. They enjoy samsaras as well. And there are a lot of things in terms of the sensual gratification. Everything is in here, in this material nature. So there are so many types of living entities, 8,004,000. That's amazing. So there's so much happiness on other planets. I mean, it could be that we can't even imagine what unique conditions this material nature proposes to us. It seems like all my dreams have come true. But then the next moment, I lose my balance again. For some even tiny reason, I understand that I get off balance again. Even a little thing can take you off balance. So eventually we don't get this real happiness, even in very good conditions, in divine conditions, even where demigods live or sages. Saintly persons like the Kumaras, Narada, Prahlada, Janaka, Shukadeva Goswami and Kapila Deva, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnava Acharyas and their servants, can render a valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. Such knowledge is the perfect benediction for humanity. You see, someone is providing this reception of knowledge. It exists from the very beginning of this world, from the very creation of this world. It is described that Brahma gets this knowledge, then he passes it to Narada. See, but someone is responsible for that. So Brahma has a double activity. He creates the conditions for the material existence, and at the same time he gives spiritual knowledge of how to get rid of it, how to get rid of its influence. So what he says to Narada, and what Narada tells to Vyasadeva, they don't talk about the preciousness of the material creation. Well, Brahma creates this material world. He knows that it's necessary for the living beings to get the possibility of a spiritual development. So that's the secret of this creation. But Shiva, for example, he does not see any sense in it. He destroys it. His set of mind is different. But Vishnu supports both of them. He knows the eternal nature of a jiva. He already knows its eternal nature, so that's why he supports both of them, because the aim is the same, so that a living being can get liberation. But Shiva and Vishnu, they have different purposes. For Shiva, this is just an illusion, but for Brahma, this is a possibility for living beings to get liberated. For Shiva, it doesn't matter because he only needs to destroy it. But the purpose is the same. To destroy it, why? To give the liberation to people. Why to create? To give liberation to people. Same purpose. You see, they act under different gunas, under different jurisdictions, but the purpose is the same. And this knowledge, this is actually a benediction for the whole humanity. Just because of this, the material existence is supported. Material creation is supported. And most of the living entities, they do not want to accept this science. That's why Lord Shiva will be destroying this creation. So in due time, this whole creation should be destroyed. Just because living beings, they do not accept it, they do not want to worship Krishna. So the universe gets destroyed and the new cycle takes over. And it keeps going over and over again until the living being comes back home to God. Well, material existence, material creation, it keeps on existing, but not for the liberated souls. If you get liberated, you do not live in the material world anymore. It's not for them. This is called the full destruction of the material world. When Jiva leaves this material world, leaving his false purposes or desires, this is called full destruction. Because your false ego gets destroyed. For those that still have this false ego, they still live in the material nature. For a liberated person, it does not exist anymore. Just as people living in good conditions, having pious life, they do not even understand what prison is. It just simply doesn't exist for them. He will never have this experience. He will never even touch upon this experience. Knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor. And here you see, just like Lord Chaitanya says, Thakur Taridas is so precious to me that I will be worshipping a dog in a place where he was born. So that's what benediction is, gratitude is. So he's so dear to me, Haridas Thakur, that I will be even worshipping a dog in the village where Haridas Thakur was born. So that's what great gratitude is. And if we have spiritual master, of course we're all so grateful to all those who has helped me to achieve that, consciously or not consciously. Therefore, Pṛthu Mahārāja requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. You see, they're satisfied with this service. You know, persons that are spreading the knowledge, they're already satisfied with what they do, even if it doesn't work out. They are already satisfied with this activity. This is Krishna's consciousness. In the material world, when we touch upon it, when we get in contact with it, we will never be satisfied. But how do we act without touching, having contact with this world? It says here, spread the spiritual knowledge. This example of having contact with the material nature or not having contact. So there's an example of a lotus flower. Lotus flower gets in contact with water, but it doesn't get soaked. Even though if the water is not clean, lotus does not get dirty. Or the water just goes down. It rolls down from the lotus flower, so the lotus flower does not get soaked. The same with people. Even if you have this contact with material nature, you do not get contaminated. So that's why they are so satisfied with this activity. So the king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. The word Vinoda Patram can be divided into two words, Vina and Uda Patram, or can be understood as one word, Vinoda Patram, which means joker. So Vinoda Patram, you see, it can be translated in different ways. In a word-by-word translation, Vina and Uda Patra, but Prabhupada in his purport says that you can read it another way, like Vinoda Patra. So it means a joker. A joker's activities simply arouse laughter, and a person who tries to repay the spiritual master or teacher of the transcendental message of Krishna becomes a laughingstock, just like a joker, because it is not possible to repay such a debt. If someone tries to come to his holy master with a Dakshina, and he says that this is the pay for his initiation, this is called Vinodapatra. Even if we render some great service, we do a lot of things, it will still be Vinodapatra, because this debt cannot be repaid ever. This will become clear with time. The more we understand Krishna, the more we understand. So this is a gift that you cannot repay ever. Not possible. No one can repay it. So that's the preciousness of Krishna's consciousness. The best friend and benefactor of all people is one who awakens humanity to its original Krishna consciousness. So that's the preciousness of Krishna's name. You cannot describe it. You cannot describe this preciousness. Just imagine if you have this preciousness, you have this name, Krishna's name. You know, that's very interesting actually here. Usually people have wealth, they keep this wealth to themselves. They do not just give it away. They always keep it to themselves. But the wealth of Krishna has another type. If you have Krishna's wealth, you want to give it away to the fullest extent, so that nothing is left. But it never diminishes, that's the point. So that's exactly what Krishna appreciates most of all. He fills this devotee with even more bliss, because this preciousness is unlimited. So that's why it is said that devotees are the most generous ones among people. But it can only work with Krishna. Without Krishna, these people, they do not even exist. This is all thanks to the holy name of Krishna. I remember our experience with my wife when we started cooking prasadam very actively. We were living in a dorm, in a student's dorm back then. So we already started offering food. This was like a whole new life. Offering food on an altar. And the first thing, what we felt, that we should spread this food. It has never occurred to us before. You know, family, people living just like, you know, vagabonds, living in a student dormitory, and then to spread this food to other people. But when we started spreading this food, when we started eating this food, the first thing that hit us, we should spread it. And then those students, they got used to that. This is prasadam. This is Krishna. So we would never have thought of that if not for Krishna. Well, of course, when you invite someone and when you have your birthday, right? You give this food to people, but here it was a different thing. And the same with books, with the teachings. When we start understanding the essence, the sense of what's written in the books, we've realized that we had to spread it to everybody around us. This is Krishna's consciousness. There are some teachings close to spirituality, just like altruism, but they just reflect this preciousness. That's why they are so attractive. These are the sparkles of the greatness of Krishna. Why? How does it attract? Well, Krishna's consciousness is so great that sometimes it blinds people. People say, no, it's impossible, just stop it. I don't see anything through these teachings. Don't even understand who I am right now. American, Russian. Hold on a second, I'm so frightened. Because this light is so powerful that you should give it with a teaspoon so that a person can adapt to this new view on life, new lifestyle, new food, new relationships. And it takes some time, of course, because a person has always considered himself to be a physical body. It's been like this for millions of lives. And now, having this physical body, try to start serving to God, forgetting about your age, education, principles. Well, you should forget all about that you have. Episodes, everything connected, related to Prabhupada, they still remember everything, because he has given Krishna to the world, not to just one or two people. He has given Krishna to the whole world. Somehow he has managed to do that. And of course, his books are... His books cannot be appreciated accordingly. So we want these books to be around everybody. We want all people have these books. Only after this we will see that the evil will be weaker than good, than goodness. Otherwise, people will not see the peace. You see so many different nationalities, different levels of economy. Generation after generation, people are born, they die, they cannot do anything with these differences. But as soon as people get this transcendental knowledge, these changes, they start right away. So that's why, that's the preciousness is that we have to be so grateful. Of course, we are trying to repay our debt to our spiritual master by following his instructions. We are talking about a true spiritual master, of course. He has compassion to all the fallen souls. That's the major care of a spiritual master. Prabhupada has given this definition to a guru: the one who takes care of people so that they do not suffer anymore. And a person who has guru, he also should think about that, how to deliver people from sufferings. And also, studying devotees, they should be taken care of. We should take care of each other. So we are basing on Prabhupada's books that purify us, they make us fearless, they give us intelligence, all these best qualities. And Krishna is given to us with the help of these books. We share it, we discuss it, we meet each other. And of course, we want people to learn about it. We want people to understand this truth. So books are the fundament. Now we have Srila Prabhupada's marathon, spreading books marathon, the marathon before Gaura Purnima Janmashtami marathon. Then sometimes devotees, they just make up with another, they just come up with another marathon. But this marathon unites the whole world. And we all represent Srila Prabhupada in this month to the whole world. And it's becoming already a world tradition. So probably this month will become spiritual for the whole world. Eventually. So there's a day of a spiritual name already. And the same thing probably will happen to this month, spreading the holy literature. Probably all spiritual books, sacred books, will be spread. Either it's Bible or Quran. They also do it, of course. So the main thing is to have this spirit, the spirit of consciousness. I mean, understanding what it is that we are spreading. To be devoted, you have to represent this literature in the correct way. If someone represents it in the wrong way, then it will be hard to read these books. The success depends on who spreads this knowledge, who represents this knowledge. So the meaning of these books, they depend on it for 99%. So devotees should spread these books, not just ordinary sellers. So are there any additions or questions? Thank you. So thank you, Caitanya Candra Caran Prabhu. Your last words, they sounded just like, very possibly that this month of December will become an international day of spreading spiritual books. First of all, because Srila Prabhupada somehow blessed us all to spread these books. And Bhagavad Gita was told in December, and this month is very significant. So Bhagavad Gita was told for the first time 5,000 years ago in December. And then Krishna says that in all of out of all the months, I am November, December. So in all respects, it's quite possible that this month will eventually become the month of spiritual books spreading. So probably devotees will be spreading books, riding on the chariots. They'll be building chariots, and the chariot will be riding down streets during this month of Margashisha, and everyone will be buying books of Srila Prabhupada. So Premananda Prabhu, make a short announcement, please. Hare Krishna, please accept our obeisances. So dear viewers on YouTube, please send your questions to the website of ajyavaragya.org. For those in Zoom, raise your hands. Damodara Priya Mataji, your question.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, accept my obeisances. So thank you so much for such an inspiration. I've been deeply impressed by your words. So very much depends on the person that spreads this knowledge. So on the 14th of December, we'll be spreading Bhagavad Gita on this day. And how are we supposed to spread Bhagavad Gita in the correct way so that people have a good impression? So devotees already have this authority. You know what Jesus Christ used to say? If you have faith in Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, in Srila Prabhupada, you don't even have to think about what you're saying, just open your mouth. And everything will come to you naturally. I think you already have this experience. If you've already preached, if you already have this experience, at some point you don't even think about anything. You just speak. You speak and you listen to yourself. And you admire what you're saying. Because it really emanates by the mercy of acharyas. Your spiritual practice, your faith, your faith will speak for itself. It's very important to overcome your fear. While a person is in fear, it will be hard for him to uncover these things. But devotees, they have all the authorities. It comes from the Lord Chaitanya. He said that everyone should become Guru. Show Bhagavad Gita, say about it, speak about it. And then when you start doing it, you just keep on talking. You have this flow, you're in the flow. So Prabhupada once said to one of his disciples, so you speak about Krishna, I speak about Krishna. Krishna is the same. It's important to overcome your fear and hesitations. So do not worry about the form. Everything that you like in Bhagavad Gita, speak about it. And I wanted to add something to what I've already said. So Krishna says, I am Margashirsha out of all the months, but Krishna underlines this month because in India, this time, harvest is collected, the biggest harvest year. All these grains are collected, of course, and then all these gifts of nature are offered in all the temples. And I thought to myself, yeah, it's quite symbolic. And we also in December, we exert some effort, we spread the books, and then we offer these fruits to Lord. It's very symbolical. Navakishori Mataji, Hare Krishna, my obeisances, please. So thank you so much. I have recently encountered a guy that was looking very much like a Sankirtana leader, and I told to him, Hare Krishna. He didn't quite understand me. And he was actually carrying books about Islam. So they are taking an example that we had said. And then actually, I've also heard from Krishna Priya Mataji, when we had this iron fence in Soviet Union, when we were just starting to serve as devotees and we didn't have any books, there was only holy name or the program, and you were chanting the holy names very qualitatively. Remember, you told us about it. And Krishna Priya Mataji was listening to you, and she said that there were no books. All the devotees of all the world, they were so surprised how you could even progress without having books. And you said that the point is that we have to concentrate on the holy name just like you did back then. Well, yes, but it's all connected. You're saying the right thing. Basically, we only had the holy name and 4 principles. We didn't have anything. There were really few books back then, but it was all connected. The holy name, well, we had it, and it got us all connected. We knew that these books, they existed. We knew that Prabhupada had written all these books. We had a great interest deep down in our hearts for this, so that we had these books in Russian language. So these things were all connected, even though we didn't have these books physically, but this aspiration deep down in our hearts was really strong. Thank you so much. So yesterday Vijay Prabhu was giving a lecture, the minister of Sankirtan, and he told us a great story. It's all connected with what we are talking today about the debt that we cannot repay to our to our spiritual master. So he told us a story about one person, a businessman, a pious person. He got the book somehow. So he has read this book. He got so much inspired about the urgency and importance of these books, according to the information that was in these books. So he got all these books reprinted, 200 examples there, back then in the 90s. And they were, he didn't know any devotees back then, and he just started spreading these books by himself. He was just offering these books to people. And some devotees, they came to that city. There was a marathon in December. And there, they saw one person that said, well, I already have this book. I've already seen it. And these devotees, they got so much surprise. Where did you get it from? This is the first time we visited here. And then another person says, well, I have this book. And then eventually they meet this person, spreading the books, this businessman. They meet him. So that's the potency, the power of Srila Prabhupada's books, when the person just gets lightened up. And in connection with that, when I read, let me just tell you shortly about myself. a little bit. So I just got a book, The Source of Eternal Bliss, and I got so much inspired by Srila Prabhupada, and I've understood that I'm not physical body, I'm a soul. So I started preaching to all my relatives and friends. I was trying to stand my point, to prove my point. Then I wanted so much to share this knowledge that after work, I got on the bus, I would get on the bus, and would just ride in the bus back and forth, holding this book up so that people could see. And I wanted someone to ask, to see this book and ask what kind of book this was, and I could just start preaching about this book. So I had been doing all these things just right before I met devotees. So I just wanted to say that Prabhupada's books, they can inspire so much. So yesterday we were spreading these books right before the police department. We didn't see him, he didn't see us. So then we would just sit on the bench, and then the policeman came out. He approached us, like, what are you doing here? Spreading some religious books? So I just stood up and started walking away. Lasalari, another devotee, she distracted that policeman. So we were doing it the whole day and he didn't see us. That's the real Krishna Lila, Krishna's Lila.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Candra Prabhu, please accept our obeisances. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for such an inspirational lecture, especially when you told us the story about when you tasted the prasadam for the first time and started spreading it. It reminded me of our coming to Krishna's consciousness, and we also had this desire to get these books and spread it right away to everybody around us. So here's the knowledge that everybody should get. Thank you so much. Karapajana Prabhu, thank you so much for reminding about this story. It's very inspirational as well. And also Vijay Prabhu told us yesterday another story when he was a student and he met some Christians, some old men. They were like 75 or 80 years old. He was so amazed, asking them how old they were, and he asked, like, why are you doing that? And they said, what else are we supposed to do? That's the great time spending. You just spread the glory of God. So thank you so much. So I have this kind of a tradition. I have one problem, and all devotees already know about it. You probably do not know about it yet. I still cannot finish marathons. This is the 28th already. I always start them and I cannot finish it. So I'm just asking for all the seniors to give me some blessings to finish this marathon at last. Gridhari Prabhu. So please accept my dandavat, thousands of my dandavats. Prabhajana, give him 1,000,000 of dandavats. Now I am sure that I will finish this marathon. Thank you so much. So you will glorify our yatra, Ajya Varagya. Only with your blessings. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So once Srila Prabhupada, surrounded by a few devotees,
77 год.
was sitting. It was 1978.
Вопрос.
So he asked
Вашим,
a question
я этой истории
about
много раз рассказывал,
who's your friend?
и все ученики практически
And all disciples,
хором
almost
сказали,
all of them, they said,
Шрила Прабхупада.
you,
Вопрос,
Srila
кто
Prabhupada.
является вашим высшим доброжелателем или другом? Шрила
So
Прабхупада
who's the
медленно покачал
highest
голову.
benefactor?
Вашим
They said, you, Srila Prabhupada. He said,
настоящим
Srila
другом
Prabhupada
является
said,
Кришна.
no, your real friend is Krishna.
И вот мы сегодня говорили о неоплатном
So
долге.
today we've talked about the debt that we cannot repay,
Кто понимает суть сознания
and the
Кришны,
one who understands the essence of Krishna's consciousness, that is in
Верховной Личности Бога Кришны,
the fact that we are particles
и что мы получаем
of Krishna,
знание и знакомимся нашим
and we
высшим
get this
доброжелателем вечным
knowledge,
Кришной через
and we get
благословение,
acquainted with Krishna
через саду,
through
через духовного учителя.
some blessings, through sadhu, through spiritual
Вот
master.
поэтому ученики были совершенно правы.
That's
На
why
самом деле мы
disciples, they were
настоящими друзьями,
actually
настоящими доброжелателями
completely correct, because our true benefactors
духовного
are the representatives of Krishna, our spiritual masters,
и Шрила Прабхупада.
gurus,
Мы
and
неоплатно
Srila
должны
Prabhupada, of course.
просто знакомить
We
людей
cannot repay this debt. We should just
Шрила
keep
Прабхупады
on
и его
acquainting people with Srila Prabhupada and his
желанием дать
books,
Кришну.
and his desire to give Krishna to the
У нас есть
others.
вопросы с YouTube.
So we have some questions from YouTube.
Первый вопрос, Алексей.
So the first question,
Предопределены
Алексей,
ли гуны, в
Prabhu.
которых мы живем, или можно усилиями поменять?
So the modes that we are living in, are they predefined, or we are able to change them? Well, yeah, our task, our mission is to change them. You have to elevate it.
Это предопределено в том смысле, что
This is all predefined in the sense that guna karma is embodied as a physical body that we receive,
сейчас живем, которым
the one that we are living in, the one that we use right now.
умом,
We use this mind,
восприятие,
the organs of senses,
определенный,
physical power,
продолжительность
physical
жизни,
strength,
характер тоже.
and our personality, of course. This is all guna karma.
И в этом теле есть возможность
And in this body, there's a possibility to develop internal qualities,
как бы принять, как называется, ну, принять инъекцию высшей гуны
to
внутрь.
to accept this
Само тело создано.
higher guna.
Материальный гун природы, но
The body itself is created from these gunas, but you can spiritualize your body with the help of spiritual education. That's the preciousness of this question. That's the thing that we have to do. And it is said that an iron could be turned into gold if there's a philosophical stone. So we have found this philosophical stone, the Krishna's holy name, and Prabhupada's books. So this iron, our life, of this quality, it transforms into a very precious thing.
Так можем эту гуну возвысить.
So that's how we can elevate this
Это
guna.
называется садхана бхакти.
This is called sadhana bhakti. We've been practicing it externally with help of our physical body and subtle mind. That's all we are given. But through practice, gunas, they infiltrate inside of us. When we spread books, or cook prasadam, or serve in a temple, or sing kirtanas, so these are all activities. So this guna infiltrates our heart, deep down into our heart, and eventually everything gets spiritualized. If you have already realized your spiritual nature, being this physical body, you are no longer called an embodied living entity. You're not conditioned by this physical body.
Екатерина.
So that's how this process works.
Объясните, пожалуйста, есть ли разница между
So then Екатерина
слушанием лекций
Mataji.
Шрилы Прабхупады и чтением книг?
Can you please explain between reading Srila Prabhupada books and listening to his lectures? Yes, there is a difference.
Книги предназначены для чтения и
So books are
осмысления.
designed for reading and discussion.
Они нас связывают с традицией, да,
They connect us with tradition and classics. So texts of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita are like the fundamental. They're the fundament. So these books belong to Vyasadeva and Shukadeva Goswami. So Prabhupada gives purpose on these books. He explains the way we should think, understand, discuss, and imply in our lives. So Prabhupada gives us this. He gives us the possibility to understand it. The same thing we hear in his lectures, and then in emotional characteristics is added. So he emotionally transfers a lot of things. Things that we probably don't understand in his books right away, but when he gives lectures, he uses emotions. Spiritual emotion represents faith. So when you listen to Acharya, it's very potent. But one lecture of Prabhupada, it can enter your heart, of course. And when there are some books, they give us the fundamental, so that it becomes fundamental of our life. Not just an interest, but that's the basis of our life. These books, they give us the basis. You can build, you can create a new civilization based on it. So that's why both of these things are important. Listening and reading, of course.
Следующий вопрос.
Next question.
Нужно ли стараться больше читать, если есть больше склонность и вкус к слушанию, чем к чтению?
If I like listening more than reading, should I read more than? When you read books, Prabhupada's books, so there's a stage when you kind of unify with Krishna, when you have this intimate connection. So keep on reading, never stop reading. I think this stage will happen to everybody that reads Prabhupada's books. At some point you will feel this intimate connection. This is a very, very precious experience. Listening also inspires. Of course, we see at the preacher, the one who reads Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you'll have these audio recordings, of course, using music. Of course, it sounds beautiful, but reading is a special sense of unification.
Следующий вопрос. Александр, прабhu. Правильно ли я понимаю, что все пророки, все святые своей жизнью показывают только одно?
Am I getting it correctly that all the saints, they show the same thing, that spirit, that the soul is separate from body? Yeah, they all talk about soul. All the prophets, they talk about soul, they speak about soul. And the relationships with God, that we're all servants of God. Our soul is just a particle of God. They all tell about that, but not all acharyas uncover the essence, the depth of these relationships. They fundamentally explain these principles, but they do not uncover the relationships of a soul relationship with God. This is a secret knowledge, the secrets of secrets. So Lord Chaitanya uncovers it, obviously, in the age of Kali. So we use this knowledge, but actually it's considered to be under 7 locks. Not all the prophets can uncover it, can unlock it, not at all times.
Есть еще вопросы в YouTube?
Are there any more questions on YouTube?
Okay.
Right now there are no. Okay, now the questions from Zoom. Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances, Caitanya Candra Caran, Prabhu, devotees. So I just wanted to share a little bit and then ask a question. Remember the time when we were having Harinama, and then on one day, in the end, and we were spreading books, and I felt this pain like why are we spreading these books just like manual? These books should be everywhere in shops. And then my Maharaj, he said, Radha Krishna, these books, they should be sold in shops. And now I understand that books are actually alive, they react to your thoughts. And a spiritual master, it reacts to what you think. And it has turned out that it's not so easy to give a book to a bookstore. You see, so we had to have this expertise on this book. Wasn't so easy, actually. And then, thanks God, it has gone all through, these expertises. And yes, now Bhagavad Gita are in all these bookshops, and people start buying them. And it turns out that we have to be really careful with books, because your thoughts... See, if you think something negative, it's good that you have a spiritual master that can correct these thoughts or direct you. Knowing that one prabhu has entered a bookstore and saw a book of Source of the Eternal Enjoyment. So Lalita Govinda, when he saw it, he said, I saw this book in a bookstore. So he said, so he got attracted to this book and he bought it. And then even when he was eating borscht, like the national soup, he would just take out meat and offer it to God. But he wasn't a devotee, of course, like the most precious thing in that soup. So now a question, for example, in Kartika, when you read like 2 more rounds a day, you give this vow. Well, it turns out you take up this vow and then it throws you back. So you chant these 2 rounds, 15 minutes more. You chant them, but it throws you back even further, like 30 minutes back into the material world. And it seemed to me that this false ego is so high, and it totally restrains you, does not allow you to go further. It seems like I'm so fallen that I cannot even chant these 2 more rounds. And I'm thrown back. So understand that. I realized that this false ego is at the place where I allow it to be. Then I've understood that I cannot go past over this impersonalism, but I still don't understand who Krishna is. So this impersonal approach, I still don't understand who he is. It's not that I understand him, I don't even understand devotees. They told me go, and I go. So I don't have this personal relationship with people. I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, that's a great unhappiness. No, it doesn't throw you back. It actually takes you forward. Because devotional service is an activity. It's a very active activity. This is a front line. And we are all thrown here. So you have to act just like Krishna says to Arjuna, fight. So Arjuna wants to go to Bhajan, so I'll just become a peacemaker, I'll become a spiritual person. But for him, it will be a step back to the senses gratification. Just like Prabhupada says, Arjuna was thinking about his unsatisfied senses. So that's why Krishna pushes him forward from this bhajan to fighting. So for you, he says, this is the move forward, but not just going deep into your thoughts, being secluded.
Так, но это не
So
передовая.
yeah, we think about Krishna, but this is not front
Думаем о
line.
Кришне, чтобы выйти на передовую, это наше место.
We think about Krishna to get on the front line, to take our position and move forward, to serve,
Все правильно происходит.
to perform this activity in Krishna's consciousness. So what's happening to you is everything is correct.
То есть я благодаря, ну, вот этим, вот, увидела
So thanks to
свое состояние падшее, да, вот этот имперсонализм в себе. И нужно теперь
so I've
менять.
seen my fallen position, my personalism, and I should change right now. This is good that you can see your fallen position, fallen condition, but then Krishna shows us the front line where we should be, the best line for us, the best spot for us.
Спасибо.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
В 11 песне Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam есть
In the 11th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there are several verses, so we're just trying to find them.
где Кришна
I
говорит,
still
что
can't. Krishna says,
можно по этому пути бежать
well,
глазами. То есть там прославляется этот процесс.
you can run down this path with your eyes closed.
И ачарьи комментируя говорят, что
And the acharyas comment
означает, что
that with blind eyes means that even if a person does not have great knowledge in Shruti and Smriti,
он может достичь совершенства.
he can reach perfection.
Могущественный процесс.
The process is so powerful. And then in another place, Krishna says, even if my devotee does not know about me, because I do not know myself to the fullest extent, you just follow the instructions of the higher authorities and you will achieve the perfection. Damodara Priya, have you found these verses?
Один, мне кажется, это Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
It seems like I found Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:2-35. O king, the one who devotes himself to serving the personality of Godhead will never get distracted from this path. He will never get fallen, even if he is running with his eyes closed.
Хорошо.
Хорошо. Всем удачного марафона.
So I'm wishing everybody successful marathon. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Его милость Caitanya Candra Caran prabhu ki
So
jai.
His Grace Caitanya Candra Prabhu jai. Marathon Shri Prabhupada jai.
Так, у нас